Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. We are just going to go live, see if we can catch what's going on. And yeah, same old thing, right? Business as usual. Let me just post this in a few different places, and we'll then jump in. How's everyone doing today? All right. Oh, there's a lot of people. Already 500 people. Someone says, what party? I don't see any all-time high. Hey, we can have parties no matter what way the price is going, right? This is part of the fun. It helps you enjoy the down days help you enjoy the up days even more. So we can have parties when the price drops. um, Someone says it's a pity party. All right, guys. This is I put out a video earlier. Basically saying, depending on your time frame, what happens in any given day is somewhat irrelevant, right? If you have a long time frame, time is on our side, right? Time is on our side. If you have to cash out next week, then I mean, good luck, right? I don't know what's gonna happen, um, but time is ultimately on our side. So I mean, right now we're at 54.8. So everyone's basically freaking out, and I mean, it's understandable because it's been a whole 5 days since we were at this level. So naturally, because Bitcoin is having a massive dump to the price it was at 5 days ago, of course, naturally, everyone on YouTube is losing their mind. But I mean, again, we're basically just saying, I mean, Bitcoin's at $54,000, $55,000. It's still, I mean, I mean, look at how far it's come. Look at how far it's come in a relatively short period of time. Um, so let's switch this over to the weekly chart, and we'll go to shorter time frames. Um, but let's look at the weekly chart and see where we are on the weekly chart. So, if you look at the last, like from October 5th, if you look at the last 23 weeks, okay, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red weeks and 17 green weeks. Okay, so Bitcoin has, it's basically spoiled all of us, right? Everyone's spoiled because it seems like all it does is go up. So that any week where it drops back down, everyone's all up in arms over it because of the retracement. But out of the last 23 weeks, only 6 of them have been red. And by the way, we don't even know if this one's going to be red. This one just started. This one could end up, I mean, later on, this one could end up being green later this week if we go back up. So, right, I wouldn't worry too much about it. And honestly, who wouldn't like a good dip occasionally? I think occasionally having a dip is great. And one of the things to note, I think, and I don't know how many people have, or if you're watching it or not, alts are actually holding up relatively okay, right? It's not like alts are capitulating. It's not like the entire market looks like it's about to. It's not like alts look like they're the weakest they've ever been. They actually look relatively okay given the circumstances, right? Given the fact that Bitcoin has dropped. How far has it dropped now? Like 8% or something? 9%? So given the fact that Bitcoin has dropped 9%, look at this. This is a special day because there's not a lot of days that are like this in crypto. Okay, there's not that many days that are like this in crypto where Bitcoin is down 9, but Ethereum's only down 6.7. Binance Coin's down 6.3. ADA's only down 5%. Everyone's freaking out over ADA, and it's actually holding up among the best. Polkadot is down 9. Okay, so Polkadot, and we've actually noticed in prior videos that Polkadot seems to be tracking Bitcoin's price movements relatively closely. So when Bitcoin's moving up, it seems like Polkadot's moving up with it. When Bitcoin's coming down, it seems like Polkadot's coming down with it. Uniswap is down 6%, Litecoin down 10.3. I've said before, right? I mean, Litecoin is one of those coins. Um, I don't think you need to put a lot of energy into. Chainlink down 7.7, and so on and so forth. VeChain, I don't know what's going on with VeChain. Wow, honestly, I haven't even looked at it. I haven't even looked at it today, but VeChain is up almost 17, or almost, I mean, over 17% in the last 24 hours. So we're gonna have to take a look at VeChain. I do have a small position in VeChain. We have about 2 or 3 videos on VeChain on the channel. Not a lot of videos, right? I mean, admittedly, not a lot of videos on it. But I'm gonna have to take a look at VeChain because honestly, I don't even know it was up 17% today. Why is it up 17%? Aave is down 7%. Monero is down 7. Avalanche is only down 3.7. So a lot of these, I mean, the moral of the story, right, is a lot of these coins are down. But with respect to Bitcoin, they're actually doing fairly well, right? They're holding up relatively well. And I think that's something that everyone should keep in the back of your mind, that the altcoin valuations against Bitcoin at the moment are not looking that bad. And I think the best way to capture that is to simply go look at the dominance. What does the dominance of Bitcoin look like? And let's go take a look. Okay, so this week just started. You can see the dominance has come back down. And it's come back down from the top of the wick here about a whole percent. So this is a time Bitcoin is bleeding, and then everyone feels like the entire market is really weak. But in fact, altcoins look relatively okay. Now, there's a fine line between alts holding up and not holding up, okay? And that line can easily be crossed. Now, what would cause that line to be crossed? So they're holding up relatively okay right now. Probably a lot of that is people are taking profits from Bitcoin, maybe putting them into some altcoins. But there's a fine line between them holding up okay and then them not holding up okay. And so what would cause them not to hold up, right? What would cause them to all of a sudden bleed against Bitcoin? Well, that's if there is a rug pull, okay? You know, if basically someone pulled the rug out and Bitcoin decided to just sort of have this massive drop or something, where it ended up being like a 40% drop or something back to the bull market spot, then we know at that time that alts would bleed against Bitcoin. So there's still people that are relatively, obviously the market has spoken. Yes, alts will bleed against USD when Bitcoin bleeds against USD, generally speaking, but they're not bleeding against Bitcoin yet, meaning there's enough people so far that are hoping that Bitcoin sort of chills out, right? That if it can kind of hold the line at 53, 54, 55, 56K, then it's not necessarily the end of the world. Speculators will speculate, right? I mean, you guys know me. I'm fairly risk averse. I'm just sort of letting my positions ride at this point. I don't really care what happens. But I mean, I think we'll keep an eye on the dominance, because the dominance right now is just below 62%. I think that if Bitcoin sort of holds these levels, the dominance will likely go down. But if the price of Bitcoin starts dropping quickly, then the dominance might actually go back up. So we're sort of walking that line right now. Now, let's pull up our regression band, because unfortunately we have fallen back down below it. So we've had 3 weekly candles now that are within the regression band, right? So 1, 2, and 3. And so now we've fallen back below it. By the way, remember, it moves up by about $70 per day. Okay, $70 per day. And I got a lot of people in the last video where I was talking about this regression band, and they were saying, oh no, it moves up $70 an hour, and they thought that because I was showing the hourly time frame. So I need to clear that up. I need to clear that up right now, right? I was showing, okay, look, like this one went from 59,256 up to 59,320. Okay, so I moved up like 70 or 80 bucks, and everyone said, oh, well, this is an hour. No, this is a day, right? This is March 12th. This was March 13th. This over here is March 11th. So what I said was correct. It's not per hour. It's about 70, maybe $80 a day. Okay, is how quickly it's moving up. So let me switch this back over to the daily time frame. So we've moved into it over the course of several days. And now the bull market or the regression band ranges from a modest 59,388 up to 87,561. So it's moving up relatively quickly, and it's not going to take too terribly long for it to get to that six-figure mark. I mean, you might say, well, if it's only moving up $70 a day, it's going to take a while. But if you think about it, you know, if it's moving up, say $70 a day, then, I mean, we don't even need a calculator, right? If it's moving up $70 a day, then over the course of a month, if it's over, say, 30 days, that's $2,100. So by 30 days from now, the upper part of the regression band will be nearing a modest $90,000, okay? Maybe a little bit over a month, maybe like 40 days from now, let's say the end of April. The end of April, the upper part of the regression band should be reaching $90,000 per Bitcoin. Right now, the bottom part of it is 59,388. The upper part is 87,561. By the way, for those who followed the channel back when we were in this regression band, which everyone misses very, very, very much, we talked about, quote unquote, our fair value, which is just based on non-bubble data. Right now, the fair value, it's so low. Back then, it didn't seem low, right? Back then, we were talking about it when it was 8,000, 9,000. It's like, all right, we're slightly above our fair value according to this fit. Today, the fair value according to this fit is only 12.4K. I don't think Bitcoin will go back to 12.4K, but it just goes to show you how quickly the times can change, where we're constantly riding that line around the fair value for years and years and years with slight deviations away from it. And then finally you get liftoff, and we go up to the next, to our peak regression band. I think one interesting thing is to overlay the regression rainbow with the regression band, and to sort of, and if you haven't seen this, this is the rainbow here. This is going relatively slow for some reason. Let me switch this over to the weekly time frame if it will let me. By the way, while I'm waiting for this to ever start working, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. So let me see if I can switch this over. So now we're looking at a weekly time frame. So we're sort of looking at them crossing, right? So this is the regression band. This is our regression rainbow. If you overlay them, this is what you get. And if you zoom in, it's kind of interesting. I mean, again, at the end of the day, these are just lines on a chart. It's not something to take to the bank. It's not financial advice, you know, blah, blah, blah. But it is sort of riding that line, like that upper, like this green line here, this one, that one right there. So far, right? That's where it is so far. But anyways, we'll see what ultimately happens. Let's hide that one, and then you can see it a little bit better. So the reason why I like to show this is they're just lines on a chart. I don't want anyone to think that any of this stuff is anything you can necessarily take to the bank and cash in. But again, this was our accumulation phase for the prior cycle. And then we had a similar accumulation phase with slightly more intra-cycle volatility, right? A little bit more intra-cycle volatility. And we even moved up to this one and down to this one. So a little bit more volatility in this market cycle when we were in that accumulation phase. So you can sort of see how last cycle it was a fairly well-defined structure. This one we were more or less in this range, but we quickly went to this one, and then we also then dumped down all the way down to this one down here, which by the way also corresponded to the 200. Well, the wick corresponded to the 300-week moving average, in fact. And it's funny because actually about 2 months before this happened, it might be hard for you to find the video, but it's there. We said that I said that I think the 200 week moving average could be the bottom, but really you might consider the 300 week as the absolute bottom. I made that video like in January of 2020 or in like December of 2019. The only reason I said that was because if you look at if you look at the each cycle, and we don't really talk about this as much during bull markets because no one really cares, but what do we? It's a live stream. We're going to talk about it. If you look at say last cycle, we ultimately found support at the 200 week moving average, and then let me change this to a different color. So last cycle we found support at the 200 week. We found support here. We had a wick to the 300 week. And what's interesting is if you put on the 100 week moving average, so the 100 week, let's find that one. And let me move it so that we can see what's going on. We'll make it this color. Maybe not that color, maybe that color. So there really there's not a whole lot of data that goes back that far, but you could maybe loosely argue that this was more or less sort of the support, the 100 week moving average, but it doesn't really go back that far. Unfortunately, we just don't have enough reliable price data. But anyways, I don't imagine that many people watching the channel today care about these longer term moving averages, but whenever we're in bearish times or when we're in accumulation phases, people are a lot more interested in them. So just sort of something to keep in mind whenever we test them in the probably not, or in the future, maybe not the immediate future, but at some point. So let me which one's this one? Okay, and I guess this one is the, let me change that to the 20 week just so we have that one on there. Okay, so, and I actually don't need that one. I'll just put on the bull market support band. So right now we're actually dropping right now. We're at 53,967. Let's see how Ethereum Bitcoin is still holding up at 0.032. So it is still holding up relatively well. We see that Ether USD is dropping, which makes sense given that Bitcoin's dropping. But the Ether Bitcoin valuation is still holding up relatively strong so far because I don't think Bitcoin has dropped quite to the level that might imply a further drop or like necessarily going to the 20 week. So let me get rid of this and add on the 50 week because I think this is actually important as well. And if this is the only time you ever watch the channel, maybe it'll be useful for you to see this. The 20 week, right, is our bull market support. Okay, so that's where we were last cycle when we were moving up. That's where we held as support. Falling below it, a lot of times we bounce off the 50 week, right? So if we don't bounce off the 20, a lot of times we'll bounce off the 50. We did that here back in April of 2018. So we had a fairly nice bounce off the 50 week that took us up about 50% back up to the 20 week. So that just might be an opportunity for people, right? If we, at some point, whether it's next month, whether it's 6 months from now, whether it's 2 years from now, at some point, whenever we fall below the 20 week, a lot of times the 50 week will sort of hold us support. And then if you look at the last cycle, we had something similar, right? When we dropped below the 20 week, it was the 50 week that we ultimately bounced off of, and we had a 50% bounce. Just something to keep in mind, right? We're nowhere near that level today, but just tuck it away and then pull it out one day when maybe it'll be useful. So that's Bitcoin. Let me pull up a few more other indicators. So we'll look at the log of the price over the 20 week. So we're still sort of respecting our trend line down, right? Nothing too crazy. We have not, even though I keep seeing people say things like, we've never seen this before. blah, 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 right? We're still not as extended from the 20-week as we were at the peak of last cycle, which was not as extended from the peak of the prior cycle or the sub peak of the same cycle or the peak from the cycle before. So the idea that this time is different in terms of the extension from the 20-week is not true. And meaning clearly last cycle we're further up than we were. These two peaks were further up than any other peak last cycle except for the last one. Okay, so it still is governing so far, it's still governing what Bitcoin is capable of each cycle. The idea that it likely will not get as far extended from the 20-week moving average as it was compared to the prior cycle. Okay, and we see that, we see that 1, 2, 3, 4, and so far 5 and 6. So the same thing holds. So we'll keep an eye on that. We've dropped back down a little bit. That'll cover that one. Let's see if there are any other indicators. Here's another one that might interest you, the log of the price over the fair value. So if we look at this on let me see if I can, settings, style. No, I don't think I can fix it here. But if you switch this to the daily time frame, right? If you switch it to the daily time frame, and we sort of connect the dots ish, right? We sort of connect the dots. There might be some more room, right? And that's why I don't necessarily think we're at. I mean, that's one other reason why you could argue there's still room to go. Now, whether that happens immediately, right, but whether it goes straight up immediately or whether it comes back down and then goes up later, that's something that only time will tell, right? Only time will tell. But right, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, right? And again, this is one of those things where you can see it more or less is falling each cycle. And by the way, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, all this is it's the extension it's the percent difference between the price and the fair value line. Okay, so basically looking at this around the same level and just sort of continuing to go down. So I would say give it some wiggle room, right? I mean, it could come anywhere in this range probably, and still we'll say it held. But anyways, right now we're at 54.2. So it has been a fairly decent pullback for Bitcoin. We're looking at about a 9% drop today. So far, we're looking at about a 9% drop. By the way, guys, if you like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. We just hit 230,000 subscribers, which begs the question, why are we not at 250,000? Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. We have a Telegram channel. I'll link it, so make sure you guys join the Telegram channel if you're looking for a chat community. By the way, I'll say this. I've said it many times. I'll say it again. Don't fall for the scams of people impersonating me. It's not me. I'm not going to message you and ask you to message me on WhatsApp. I'm not going to message you and say, send crypto to some shady exchange you've never heard of. If someone messages you on Telegram or on YouTube and it has my profile picture and it was an unsolicited message, it's not me. It's just some scumbag scammer that, I don't even want to even think about, the fact that they even have to exist. Ignore them. You can tell them to F off if you want. I don't care. But if you want, waste their time for a few hours. Just ignore them. It's not me. It's not me. Do not fall for it. For some reason, I keep saying this. People keep falling for it. I don't know how to stop people from falling for it. Just don't be so gullible, right? If someone's messaging you and it's related to cryptocurrency and it's unsolicited, there is probably a 75% chance. There's probably a 95% chance it's a scam, okay? A 95% chance it's a scam, if not higher. So if you think I'm just going to, drop what I'm doing and individually message people that are joining my Telegram group and say, hey, you should send crypto to this exchange, it's not me. I don't do that, and I don't understand why people think I would do that. It's not me, but yet I still see people falling for it like every single day. I mean, clearly it must work, otherwise the scammers wouldn't do it. Right? If it didn't work, they wouldn't do it. It's because it works that they do it. So if you're one of those people that is going to fall for that scam, I would recommend don't join Telegram, don't look at the YouTube comments, just don't even look at it, because for some reason people keep falling for it, and I really don't know what else to say other than don't fall for it, right? Don't fall for it. I can't say anything else. You know, I pin messages on some of the YouTube videos saying don't fall for it. I pin it in Telegram. I talk about it every single day. Seems like someone's falling for it. And it's funny, you know, one thing I think it's interesting in the bear market, people don't fall for it. You know the reason why? I feel like the people that stick around in the bear market are the more serious people, right? The more serious people are the ones that stick around in the bear market, and then in the bull market, you have all this new money to the space, and they're just, you know, they're like innocent, right? They're super innocent when it comes to crypto and what people are going to be willing to do to try to click or to try to get you to do something that you really shouldn't do and turning your crypto or something over to them. Don't do it. These people they sort of prey on the new money into the space because they recognize that you're gonna probably have the least experience. So don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Okay? I can't say it enough, but every single day someone's falling for it. I don't know how, you know, like it's so weird. Like the YouTube comments that are impersonating me, like it's like the English is terrible. They have to put so many like special characters between their WhatsApp number because I've made it so that, you know, if you write a number, it's gonna automatically be blocked from the comments. So they have to, like, when they write a number, they'll do like *1, and then they'll do like ***2, you know, like /3. People still fall for this. I don't know why people fall for this, but they fall for it. Don't fall for it. That'll okay, we'll bring it back in. People message me every single day saying, "Hey, you know, why are you messaging me about this?" I'm like, "Well, since the Telegram handle you're referring to is clearly different than mine, I don't know why you think it's me." I do have a check mark. That's the thing. I do have a check mark next to my name, but people still fall for even though I have a check mark next to my name, people still fall for the people pretending to be me. All right. I'm basically just frustrated because I don't want to see people lose their money to such obvious scams, right? All right, so you know, Bitcoin's, where are we? We're at 53.8 now. Um, so we are getting a nice little pullback here. So let's see. So from the top, how far down are we now? Let's see. Let's take a measured move here. We are down about 13%. Nothing to really get out of bed for at this point. I mean, if you want to ask me when I think it's time to get out of bed, it would be when we go back down to our 20 week. Then maybe it's worth getting out of bed. If it doesn't go down there, I don't know that it's worth getting out of bed for. Because we've seen this before. Many, many times, in fact. Yeah. Someone says, you love how on the log chart you have to really zoom in to see the correction. Yeah, so so our massive dump is that pixel, right? It's that pixel right there. That's the massive dump today. Let's look at Ethereum. So what's Ethereum doing? Ethereum's at 1727. Still holding up relatively well. I mean, Bitcoin down 9%, Ethereum down 6%. So it's still holding up so far. I imagine it's going to be harder and harder for it to hold up if Bitcoin keeps dumping. I mean, we'd like Bitcoin to stop dumping at some point for Ethereum to really do well against USD, but at least its Bitcoin valuation is still somewhat constant at 0.032. Earlier today, it was at like 0.0314, because I always recognize when it's at pi, right, 314. So earlier today, it was at 314, now it's at 0.032, so it's still holding up relatively well. Obviously, against USD, it's gone down, but we expect it to go down when Bitcoin goes down. That's not really that surprising. Let's see. So ADA is actually just below $1 now. So ADA has fallen below its 20-day. Let's see where it is on the 21. Okay, so ADA has fallen down some. So we'll see. If you look at the bull marks, and I don't know how valid it'll be for ADA, but if you look at it for ADA, the bull market support is now at 49 cents to 61 cents. So still relatively far away. I mean, that would represent potentially a 50% dump, and we would still be above the 20-week moving average, which is kind of crazy to think about. That just shows you how quickly ADA has moved up, right? It shows you how quickly it's moved up in such a very short period of time. Because in fact, on February 1st, ADA was trading at 33 cents. On February 1st, it was trading at 33 cents, and now it's at $1. DOT, it looks like, yeah, it's come down a little bit as well. It's below the 20-day. It's also below the 21-day EMA. So we're seeing some drops across the board. But again, DOT Bitcoin. Let me take a look at DOT Bitcoin and see how DOT Bitcoin looks today. My guess is that DOT Bitcoin might actually be down. It is down. And we sort of saw this a few weeks ago. We saw that DOT was basically tracking Bitcoin relatively closely, right? When Bitcoin was moving up, DOT was moving up. When Bitcoin was moving down, DOT was moving down. So we have been sort of tracking that. So we see DOT Bitcoin is down, but Ether Bitcoin is up. In fact, if you look at, I mean, it just started this new day, right? We just started a new day like 2 hours ago. But yesterday, Ether Bitcoin went up 3%. On the new day, it's down 0.5%, but we just started a new day just about 2 hours ago. So let's see. Bitcoin's at 53.3. Maybe we should zoom into some shorter time frames here. Let's hide this one. And let's hide that one. Let's go to the 1 hour chart. Yeah, pretty nice drop. But nothing we haven't seen before. How's everyone doing? I'm just trying to read the chat. Yeah, and this is, I even put out a video earlier on this today. People are saying they're panicking. Don't, what is there to say, right? What is there to say? Like, I don't, you have to think about it from a long-term perspective, right? You can't worry about a day-to-day time frame. You have to, I mean, if you're coming into the market when Bitcoin is up 15x in 1 year, you have to look at it you have to come in from a macro perspective, right? Because you cannot come in and think that it's going to go up every single week. So come at it from a macro perspective. If you sort of have that 3-year outlook, then I imagine, this is just a blip. I mean, it might be a blip on a 2-week outlook, but always look at it from a macro perspective, right? Look at this. This is our 1 year, 2 year, 3 year ROI. The 1 year ROI, yeah, I mean, so we're basically, if Bitcoin goes down today, and we know that this time last year it was going up, then this will probably put in a new sort of peak here, because it'll be going down relatively quickly, because not only is the price of Bitcoin today going down, but a year ago it was going up, and this is the 1 year running ROI. If you look at the 2 year running ROI, it looks like this. The 3 year looks really impressive, and there's only been a few times where you would have been in a loss. The 4 year ROI is just absolutely ridiculous, and you would have been hard pressed to not make 10x on your money in 4 years by investing in Bitcoin. So it depends on your outlook, right? It depends on sort of what your outlook is and how long your outlook is. With that said, Bitcoin could go to 65K next week, and this is why I say to the new people, you're not doing yourself any favors by freaking out over small dips. If we get a small dip, we get a small dip. If we get a large dip, maybe you stick around and you accumulate when we have a large dip. And then eventually, it'll probably go back up. I mean, I personally think that Bitcoin will go to six figures within the next, I would say within, I mean, obviously everyone's going to say it's going to happen in 2021, and there's a really good chance Bitcoin goes to 100K in 2021. But I would say, it's probably going to go to 100 to 200K within the next couple years. Okay, within the next 2 years, I think Bitcoin will hit the six-figure mark. And probably not just 100K, probably well into the 100K region. Yeah, I am very conservative with my predictions because I've seen what happens when people put out like really absurd predictions and they don't come true, and then they just they sort of disappear for a few years in the bear market, and they come back in the bull market and just say who bought the dip. So you have to be careful. I think you have to be careful with that stuff. I showed a let me see if I can find this. I showed this earlier on my Twitter. So what crypto class are you? Are you the class of 2017? That's been through hell and back. Are you the class of 2020 that's just getting on the roller coaster, and they're sort of just going up, right? They haven't actually experienced the downside volatility. Which class are you? Are the class of 2013, the class of 2011? Looks like we got a lot of class of 2017s here. 2016, 2019. Do we have any 2013s? Oh, we have a 2013. Big Horse 1992 says he's the class of 2013. John Heisenberg, class of 2013. Lots of 2017s, right? Lots of 2017s. Because 2017 was like a ridiculous year. So someone says there's a class of 2024. If you're already claiming to be the class of 2024, I guess you're just basically saying, hey, I missed the boat. I'll buy it next time, next halving or something. 2013 mining, good. That's good. 2000. Tristan says he was the class of 2010. By the way, you guys should check me out on Twitter if you want. I basically just goof around into Cryptoverse. I couldn't put the in there because it was too long, but you guys can check that out if you want. Anyways, all right, we're at 53.2. ADA's still holding at $1. Link is at $26. Again, I keep telling people this. I think Link's time will come later this year. So with Link, I would just be patient. Be patient because we know that Link tends to not move until Bitcoin volatility has really calmed down. And so I would say with Link, the best thing to do would just be patient. By the way, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 250,000 subscribers. What are we doing at 230? We're putting in rookie numbers. We are putting in rookie numbers, right? What are we at? 230? Yeah, we're at 230,000. Let's at least get to 231. At least. Thank you guys for subscribing. Give the video a thumbs up. Maybe hit the bell icon, turn your notifications on. I will remind you we have a Telegram channel. Ignore the scammers pretending to be me when you join. If you join, maybe you shouldn't join. If you think you're gonna get, if you're gonna be prone to falling for scams, then don't join Telegram. But if you are able to tell the scammers off that are pretending to be me, then maybe join the Telegram group. Also, as a reminder, we have the premium list. We have weekly reports and videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, the Into the Cryptoverse app, the trading view indicators, the premium only live streams, and more. We'll keep the altcoin season sale going for at least a couple more days. We've had some issues with a lot of traffic to the site, so people are having trouble signing up. I'll post it in the chat. You can find a link to it in the description below. We don't run ads here, right? I don't run ads. We do no paid promotions. My words are not paid for by any means. But I can assure you, plenty of people have tried. All right, so Bitcoin's at 53.4, 53.5. One interesting thing, if you look at the monthly chart, for Bitcoin, and let's just pull up that monthly RSI, it's getting pretty heated, right? It's getting pretty heated. If you look to see where we had prior monthly tops in terms of the RSI, we've had 4 at around the 95 to 97 level here, and then here and here. Right now we're at about 91. But remember, this is just the monthly RSI, so we're not going to get an update on this for like we'll get a new data point in a month or in about 2 weeks or so. But so I don't know exactly what it's going to do, but it'll be a little while. It's just something to keep an eye on, right? Something to keep an eye on, the monthly RSI, as it is getting pretty heated. It wouldn't be the end of the world if it calmed down for a little while. And then if you look at, here's another, I like this script too. I thought I took the time derivative of this in TradingView, but I can't find it. I'll need to recode it, I guess. Moving average. So this one. Is this not it? What's going on? Why is this not it? Here it is. It's not beautiful. I like this chart. Does anyone remember what this chart is of? What is this chart of? This is the 100-week moving, or is the, what is it? The 100-week divided by the 200-week, right? Decreasing volatility over the macro scale, right? The 100-week over the 200-week. What do you see? I think it's a nice chart. I like this chart. The changes in concavity, I think, are more important, right? So right here sort of represents the beginning of the bull market. Maybe it's not as useful. So this one right here, this change in concavity, this was actually in the end of 2019. So it sort of started here. So maybe not quite the beginning of the bull market, but we weren't too far away from it. Maybe just about 3 months or so. So far it seems like we know when you see the concavity change, where it goes from being concave down to concave up. So we need to take the time derivative of this, which I thought I did. I thought I took the time derivative of it, but anytime I click on it, it doesn't work. So is it not this one? Something went wrong. Please try again later. I thought it was that one. I'll have to look into it. All right. So if you look at the change in concavity in the 100-week divided by the 200-week, you sort of see that when it changes from concave down, so you probably wish you weren't sleeping. Probably wish you weren't sleeping in Calc 101 now. To concave up, that tends to be around when the bull market starts. So back in late 2015, early 2016, and then again late 2019, early 2020 is more or less when the bull market started. Maybe plus or minus 3 months, right? What's a few months among friends? Now, if we look at the other one, when it changes concavity here to the where it goes from concave up to concave down. It's, it looks like it's within a few weeks of the peak, maybe within a few weeks of it changing from concave down to concave up here. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think, as I always say, I think time is on our side. You know, whether you think, I mean, my general interpretation is that the market cap of crypto will probably go to approximately $10 trillion plus or minus a few trillion this market cycle, but I don't necessarily think that has to happen in 2021. It could happen in 2022, maybe even 2023, right? I feel like 2023 is when I ideally would like to see it. I don't necessarily think it has to happen in 2021. Obviously, things have accelerated quicker than I thought they were going to this market cycle, so I'm not going to say it can't happen, but I do think at the end of the day, time is on our side. Am I still here? It says no data, so I'm not sure if it's even still streaming. Yeah, I mean, if you're saying every YouTuber has had good calls in a bull market, you know, I mean, congratulations, right? Things go up in a bull market. Every YouTuber has been saying things are going to go up. Go back and look at older videos when they were saying it was going to go up in early 2018, if they haven't deleted them, okay? Because they'll tell you it's going to go up every week, every month, every year. And then they just become quiet about it when things start going back down. Yeah, it's easy to be right in a bull market because things just go up, right? I mean, if you just say Bitcoin, Ethereum, and every other crypto is going to go up, you're probably going to get it right in a bull market. So I don't really think that's a great comparison. Someone says a monkey can throw darts and make good calls in a bull market. It's true. It's true, right? It doesn't. It's not hard to say something's going to go up in a bull market. That doesn't make you. That doesn't make you like the clairvoyant, right? Yeah, the premium list does include the trading view indicators that we talk about. Most of them, anyways. The ones that I think are useful. No, I didn't say. I mean, if you're new to the market and you want to get exposure to crypto, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with buying. You just have to have a longer term outlook. I mean, it might work out in the short term, it might not. I've always said it's too risky not to hold Bitcoin. If you don't have any, if I didn't own any, I would be buying. For sure, I would be buying. But I would also come at it with sort of a macro perspective and say, you know what? I don't know if I'll win it. I don't know if my ROI will be great in the next year. But if it drops, I'll continue DCA until it does go back up to above whatever my highest price entry was. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. I did say I would look at VeChain, didn't I? So why don't we look at that? I want to look at the VeChain Ether valuation because this is the one to look at, right? I drew this on the chart a few weeks ago. This is the one to look at, VeChain Ether, because I do have a position in VeChain. You know, if you see it come back up to this level, that might represent an opportunity to go back to Ether. Not financial advice. You obviously do whatever you want. But if it continues moving up, against Ether. You have to look at the crypto valuations against Bitcoin and against Ether, right? The longer you're in crypto, the more you appreciate what they're worth in Bitcoin, what they're worth in their Ethereum valuation. The newer people tend to only care about their USD valuation, and like we've all been there. But the longer you're in crypto, the more you'll start to appreciate, okay, well, what is that valuation in Ether, or what is that, more importantly, what's its valuation in Bitcoin? So I would say maybe for the VeChain Ether valuation, keep an eye on this level here that we actually just had a wick to. Right, this is where we had a wick here. We had some wicks here. We had some candles there. That's where we are right now. So it's sort of the same idea that went with ADA Ether, is that, you know, if there exists a set of market conditions that would allow VeChain, the VeChain Ether valuation to go back up to this level, it would probably be these market conditions when we're in a bull market. What other questions do we have? Someone says summary. Jay Russo says summary. What's the summary we normally give everyone? The summary I always tell people when they ask for a summary: Bitcoin goes up, Bitcoin goes down, but Bitcoin mainly goes up. That sort of summarizes what we've covered here on the stream. Yeah, I think you should. Someone asked if they should still keep Forbes on hold. I would say yeah. Don't schedule the interview. We still have a ways to go. Don't want to schedule those interviews at this point, I don't think. Someone says, look at the Bitcoin dominance. We were actually looking at it earlier. It's actually dropped by another 10th. It's dropped by another 10th since we've been on the stream. So again, this is one of those interesting points where the price of Bitcoin is bleeding, but the dominance is going down, showing that a lot of altcoins are showing a lot of strength against Bitcoin right now. Some of the comments in the chat, I'm like, who are you guys listening to? Right? Who are you guys listening to? What are you guys talking about? Some of these comments I see. Everyone's always whining about market manipulation and stuff. Like, come on. Light roast or dark roast? You talking about coffee? I don't drink coffee, actually. Yeah, guys, I've said it before. The people that are screaming and whining about it being market manipulation are probably the ones that are trying to find a reason for why the market's not doing exactly what they're doing. It's not market manipulation, right? I've made predictions before that don't always come true. So I'm not trying to stand on the pedestal or anything. I'm just saying that, when you make a prediction, it doesn't come true. It doesn't mean that it's market manipulation. It just means it's the market, and it's really hard to predict what the market's going to do in the short term. So that's why I always say, anytime I make a video where I talk about short-term price speculation, we talk about endlessly how the speculation is somewhat worthless. But, it's a crypto channel. It's related to financial media. What else are we going to talk about sometime? So it's not market manipulation, in my opinion, right? Of course, it's my opinion. It's just a market, and people are allowed to sell and people are allowed to buy in a market. So I think the people that are spoon feeding you that everything going on is market manipulation are really not doing you any favors, to be completely honest. I mean, you look at the price of Bitcoin over the macro scale, and it doesn't really, I mean, it doesn't really look like market manipulation to me, right? It looks like a bull market and a bear market and an accumulation phase and a bull market and a bear market and an accumulation phase and a bull market and a bear market and an accumulation phase and a bull market, right? It's just the same, it's the same damn thing. It's not different. It's just the same thing over and over and over. Yeah, I mean, as I said before, right? I mean, you look at altcoins and we recognize that a lot of the altcoins are holding up relatively well. Let's go take a look. So Bitcoin's down 9%, Ethereum's only down 7. Cardano's only down 5. Dot's down 11. So, I mean, yeah, admittedly, Dot's not doing that well today. It does tend to track Bitcoin a little bit more than some of the other coins. But a lot of the coins are, I mean, Chainlink's down 7.5. So a lot of these coins are not down as much as Bitcoin. Yeah, we can look at the Pi cycle top. Again, it's just a fit. It's a 3 data point fit that was done retroactively. Does not necessarily predictive. All models are wrong. Some are useful. They haven't crossed yet. If you're not familiar with this indicator, historically speaking, when they cross, it represents within 3 days of the cycle peak, or at least even if it's not a market cycle peak, of a local peak. They haven't crossed yet. Again, it's a fit. It's not necessarily predictive. Okay, it's not necessarily predictive. You can see it here, right? Pi cycle top, and then 2 more. Pi cycle top, pi cycle top. So it'll flash that whenever it crosses. What other questions do we have? By the way, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Also, check out the premium list if you guys are interested in that. I probably actually need to go in a minute. But remember, the premium list, you'll get access to the weekly reports and videos, the app, the alerts on Telegram, the chat room, etc. Remember, we also have the Telegram chat room. We have over 25,000 people in there. So I would recommend checking that out. I'll post it in the chat. By the way, you guys, we're putting in rookie numbers on the number of likes. We have like 5,000 viewers and 1,200 likes. Make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up. All right. Why don't we wrap it up? Why don't we wrap it up? We basically covered everything. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.